Welcome to the deep dive. So, we got some really interesting material from you listeners this time. It's all centered around this thing called n8n.
Yeah, n8n. Seen it popping up quite a bit.
Exactly. So, our mission today, pretty straightforward. We're going to dig deep, try and pull out the core info on what n8n actually is and, how it really works.
Yeah.
Based on that article you sent.
Right. Go beyond just the buzzwords and understand the mechanics.
Yeah, we're not just skimming. We want to get to the heart of it. Hopefully, by the end, everyone listening will have a much clearer picture.
See if it's something that could genuinely help sort out the digital chaos.
Because, let's face it, we're all drowning in apps, aren't we? Email, CRM, social media feeds, different databases.
It's a lot.
It feels like you're constantly juggling, just trying to make things talk to each other, avoiding that endless copy-pasting.
That manual data entry, yeah, it's a time sink.
So the big idea with n8n, as we're seeing it, is to be this, central hub for automating workflows.
That's the promise.
The goal being to smoothly connect all those apps you use every day. So you can, finally stop the constant app switching and kill off those boring, repetitive tasks.
Precisely. Think of it like building little digital pathways between your tools, automating how info moves, how actions happen, without you needing to constantly intervene for the routine stuff.
Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts then. What is n8n, practically speaking?
Okay, so at its core, n8n is an open source workflow automation tool.
Open source.
Okay, now that might sound technical, but what it really means is it's a platform for building automated processes, often with, minimal coding involved.
Minimal coding is good.
Yeah. The article had a pretty neat way of describing it, like having a digital assistant.
A digital assistant. I like that.
One that can, connect your different apps and handle a whole bunch of tasks for you. Could be simple things like syncing data between systems.
Like keeping my contacts updated everywhere.
Exactly. Or sending alerts.
Yeah.
But it can also handle more complex, multi-step business processes, too.
A digital assistant that speaks app. That sounds useful. And the article really stresses it's for both tech folks and, the rest of us.
Yeah, that accessibility seems key to its design.
How does it manage that? Being powerful but also user-friendly?
Well, while it's definitely got power under the hood for complex stuff, the interface itself, how you interact with it, is designed to be pretty intuitive.
Okay.
So people with very different coding skill levels can actually see and build their own automations.
Right. Now, most things have an origin story. Where did n8n come from?
Yeah, the article covers that. It was created by Jan Oberhauser. He's based in Berlin.
Okay.
And his main motivation, basically frustration. He was fed up with the automation tools already out there.
What was wrong with them?
He found them really restrictive, often proprietary, locking you into their system, limiting what you could actually achieve.
Okay. So he wanted something more open, more flexible.
Exactly.
Oh.
And that's where the open source part really shines.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just that the software might be free to download or use. It means users actually have control, real control. They can contribute back to it. They can modify it to fit exactly what they need, tailor it in ways you just can't with a closed system where you're stuck with the vendor's choices.
That sounds like it builds a real community feel. The article mentioned that, a growing community, and it talked about hundreds of integrations built in and something called community nodes.
Yeah, think of it like this. The main n8n platform gives you the basic building blocks, right? The foundation.
Okay.
The built-in integrations are like pre-made connectors for tons of popular apps and services. Email, CRM, social media, databases, loads of stuff. So you can start building right away.
Straight out of the box.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Now, community nodes, that's where other users step in. People in the n8n community build their own extra integrations or specific functions and then share them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It really backs up that article idea of it being like a DIY kit for automation enthusiasts. The whole thing keeps growing because the users themselves are adding to it.
Okay, so we have this open source platform, lots of tools, growing all the time. How do you actually use it to connect apps and automate things if you're not like a hardcore programmer?
Right, that's where this low-code visual interface comes in. The article paints a picture of it being like a digital canvas.
Canvas?
Yeah. You literally drag and drop these things called nodes, those integrations and functions we talked about, onto the canvas, and then you connect them up visually, like putting puzzle pieces together.
So you're actually drawing a map of your automation.
You got it. Instead of writing lines and lines of code, you're building a diagram. It shows exactly how you want data or actions to flow from one app to the next.
Okay, that sounds much more approachable.
The article gave some good examples, like automatically syncing customer info between your CRM and a Google Sheet,
Yeah, that'd be useful.
or setting up instant notifications when, say, someone fills out a form on your website. It's more about logic and creativity than complex coding. You're designing the sequence, the workflow.
Workflows.
Right, that was
Yeah.
another key concept the article hit hard.
Yeah.
What is a workflow in n8n terms?
Well, if we stick with that recipe idea, the workflow is the whole recipe, start to finish.
The plan.
Exactly. It's the defined series of steps the automation follows. The article explains every workflow starts with a trigger. We'll get to
Wow.
those next.
Okay.
And then data gets passed through a chain of these nodes. Each node does something specific, gets data, changes it, sends it somewhere else.
And it's all visible.
That's the key thing. You see the whole process laid out. Makes it way easier to understand the logic, spot problems, tweak things.
Got it. So workflows are the what and how. What are those triggers then? The things that kick it all off?
Triggers. Yeah, the article called them the kickstarters, or the spark that lights the fuse.
Ah,
They're just the specific events that tell n8n, right, time to run this workflow now.
okay. Give me some examples of those sparks.
Sure. The article had good ones, like a new email arriving in your inbox could be a trigger.
Simple enough. Or maybe you need something to run at the same time every day or every Monday morning. That's where cron jobs come in scheduled triggers.
Ah, like setting a timer?
Kinda, yeah. Another big one is a webhook. That's when a website or another app sends a little notification to n8n when something happens over there.
Like someone bought something on my site.
Exactly. That event can trigger an n8n workflow instantly. It's like a digital tap on the shoulder saying go.
So it's either something happening outside n8n or something scheduled inside it.
Precisely. And that leads to the two main types of nodes the article mentioned. You've got trigger nodes, they start the workflow, like the email or webhook examples.
Those are the starters.
And then you have action nodes. These are the workhorses. They do the actual tasks within the workflow.
Like what?
Like sending an email, fetching data from another service, using its API. Basically how programs talk to each other.
Okay.
Or maybe changing data format, updating the spreadsheet, that kind of thing.
And the article said over 300 built-in nodes. That sounds like a lot to start with.
It's pretty comprehensive. Covers a huge range of common services. And like we said with community nodes, if there isn't one built in for something obscure you need,
You can build your own.
you or someone in the community potentially can, yeah. Or you can often use generic nodes like the HTTP request node to talk to many services. It's very extendable.
Let's loop back to that visual workflow editor. The article really seemed to hype that up as a standout feature. Why is it such a big deal?
It's huge because it just makes automation fundamentally more, well, accessible for way more people.
Thought so.
Like the article points out, even if you've never coded, you can see a structure. You're literally dragging these blocks, the nodes, onto a workspace
Yeah.
and drawing lines between them. Those lines show the data flowing. It makes the logic visual.
Definitely sounds less scary than a blank code editor. What are the specific upsides the article mentioned?
Okay, first big one. It's just plain user-friendly.
Right.
You don't need to decipher code to get the gist of what's happening.
I got them.
Second, really fast prototyping. You can quickly sketch out an idea, move nodes around, reconnect them, see if it works. It encourages experimenting.
So it's easy to just try stuff out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
much more fluid. Third benefit? Modularity. Need to change one part of your automation, just tweak that one node. You don't have to mess with the whole thing usually. Makes fixing things or updating them way easier. Less likely to break something else by accident.
That's a good point.
And finally, just instant clarity. Seeing the whole flow makes it easier to understand, easier to find bugs if something goes wrong, and even easier to explain it to someone else or work on it together.
It sounds like it removes a lot of the black box feeling you sometimes get with automation.
Exactly. Makes the logic transparent. Much more understandable no matter your tech background.
Okay, so we've got a good handle on the what and the how. Now, the big question the article kind of builds towards, why is this n8n thing seen as a game changer?
Right. To get that, you need context. The article contrasts it with how things often were before or still are with some tools, meaning complex integrations, often locked into proprietary systems, frequently costing a lot of money. Just getting two systems to talk could be a major project.
Right, I've seen that. Expensive and slow.
Digo offers a different approach. And the open source angle is key here. It's not just about saving money, although that's part of it.
What else?
It's about agility. If you hit a wall, need an integration that isn't there, You're not totally dependent on the vendor's schedule. Your own team or someone in the community might just build it. That makes the whole ecosystem move faster, respond better than waiting months for a feature request on a closed platform.
That makes total sense. What other advantages does it really push?
Second big one is flexibility. You can build super simple one-step flows or incredibly complex multi-stage processes, all using that same visual approach, mostly without heavy coding.
So it handles simple and complex.
Yeah, it gives you the building blocks for a huge range of needs.
Yeah.
You're less likely to hit those frustrating limits you find in some tools where you just can't do what you need.
And the cost. The article mentioned cost-effective.
That's major. Being open source, you can self-host it for free.
Free.
Well, free software cost. You still need
Yeah.
somewhere to run it, manage the server, updates, etc. But the core software, yeah. Or they have n8n Cloud, a paid service where they handle all that infrastructure.
Okay.
And the article suggests even that paid version is priced very competitively compared to many alternatives. It really lowers a barrier for smaller teams or individuals to get into powerful automation.
So it scales from my personal tasks up to, like, big company stuff.
Exactly. Scalability is the fourth key point. Whether you're just automating a few things for yourself or running major business workflows with tons of connections, n8n is built to handle that growth.
It really does sound like it's trying to bridge that gap between powerful tech and, being usable by actual humans.
That's totally the vibe the article gives off. It empowers developers. Sure, they can still get under the hood if they want.
Right.
But it also empowers non-developers using that visual interface. They can build serious automations without drowning in code. And that community aspect keeps adding value, new integrations, shared solutions. It's constantly growing.
Okay, wow. We've definitely dug deep into n8n thanks to that article. If you had to boil it down, what are the absolute key takeaways for our listeners?
I'd say, remember, it's open source at its heart. Remember that user-friendly, low-code visual editor?
Yeah.
And grasp the basic building blocks, workflows, triggers, and nodes.
Right.
Fundamentally, it's a tool designed to connect your apps and services way more smoothly.
Yeah, it's not just automating tasks in isolation, is it? It's about making them intelligently connected, making things efficient, saving time, cutting down mistakes.
Absolutely. Saving you time is huge. Reducing those manual errors is critical, and maybe the most exciting part, unlocking creative ways to automate things you hadn't even thought possible before.
Okay, so as everyone's listening and thinking about this, consider those daily tasks you have, the ones that just feel like a drag on your time, your energy. If you could picture them as a flow, like we've been talking about, what would be the very first node, the first step you'd want to automate? And just think, what possibilities, what efficiencies would even that one automation unlock for you?
Good question to ponder.
That's your food for thought for this deep dive. Thanks for exploring n8n with us today.